A very good morning to you on this beautiful Easter Friday. I hope you're enjoying your day so far. I'm going to be showing you how to make the wonderful Ginko bracelets using the Czech Ginko beads and Czech Cabochons. It's a beautiful, very flat bracelet and it's really comfortable to wear.
And I want to show you how to make this lovely Ginko bead bracelets. The bracelet itself is really easy to make. I used one of these double loop clasps and I covered up the loops on the top with the seed beads so it looks like it's all in one. You're going to zigzag your way up on one side and come back down, then sort of run around the outer edge, run up and down to complete your bracelet. The materials, what you're going to need is you're going to need some Czech Cabochon. These are 2-hole beads as well. On one side they are flat, on the other side they have this lovely little dome. You're going to need your Ginko beads, of course. Ginko beads, again, I've got 2 holes and they are like a shape of a Ginko leaf. So what you're going to have to be careful here, that you picking up it either from the pointy end or you're picking it up from the curve end as we go along. You're going to need some 4mm crystal beads. These are just like a really nice navy blue color. Size 11 seed beads. I like to use Toho because they're nice and regular. And a clasp, a double loop clasp with 2 loops on either side of it. These ones are great because they are slider clasp and they got little magnets in the end of them so they keep your bracelet nice and secure. So thread a needle. Don't thread longer than what you can manage. I probably got about 1.5 meters here. I left my bobbin on there so later on I can unveil more thread and use it. So what you're going to start off with is you're going to start off with your Ginko beads. So you're going to pick up a Ginko bead from the thinner end going towards your thicker end. Pull it down. Then I'm going to wrap the tail end around my finger. So I suspend my work here in there so you can see it better. Then you're going to take your seed beads. You're going to need to pick up 3 seed beads, 3 size 11 seed beads. And you're going to go back down through the other hole of the Ginko bead and pull that up tight. So all we did, just like we made this 3 little seed beads sit on top of the Ginko bead. Now you're going to pick up your cabochon. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky because again the cabochon has got 2 holes. It has a dome on one side and flat on the other side. So what you need to be sure that you're picking them up the same way every single time you pick them up. So if my holes going from top to bottom, I'm always going to go to the left one here, let's say, but I can go to the right one. It doesn't really matter. But as long as you're picking them up the same way all the way along. So I'm going to pick up and pull it all the way down. So if that's just going to sit in there just like that. Then I'm going to pick up another Ginko leaf bead. Again, from the thinner end to the thicker end. And 3 seed beads. 1, 2, 3. Slide this all the way down. Just like that, and I'm going to go back through the other hole on the Ginko bead so the seed beads will be nicely sit on the top of it. Make sure this is nice and tight. Now what I love about this bracelet, the straight away now you're going to add the clasp, so you're working from one end to the other and you got something to hold on to there. So I'm going to take my clasp, I'm going to go through a loop. It doesn't matter which loop you go through at this point. So if you see, I'm going from bottom to top on the loop and I'm going to pick up 4 seed beads, and then because I went this direction on the loop, I want to come back from top to bottom on the lower half of the loop and pull it tight. Now I'm going to go straight into where my tail end comes out. I'm going to go into that Ginko bead from the tail end going up to my seed beads and pull it tight. And we have, if I let this go, you have the start of your bracelet. Now what we're going to do, just pull this tight. So what we're going to do, we're going to go around and add the 4 seed beads to the bottom of our bracelet as well, and that just make it stronger. So I'm going to weave my thread around. I'm going to go through these 3 seed beads I'm gonna go through the Ginko bead, the Cabochon, the other Ginko bead, and the 3 seed beads here. Then I'm going to take my thread down the other side of the Ginko bead, but only the Ginko bead. So now if you look at your loops on your clasp, the last time I came from bottom to up, so I'm going to go through the loop from top to bottom. The more you sew this to your clasp, the stronger your bracelet's going to be. Again, I'm going to pick up the 4 seed beads, and I'm going to come back from bottom to top on the other hole and pull it tight. That's it. Then I'm going to go back through my Ginko bead, just like so, and through these little 3 seed beads, and I'm going to weave my thread to the other side, so I'll be in position to add further beads. Just like that. Don't worry about your tail, you just can hang there for now. So I added the 4 seed beads to both sides, just like that. So on the bottom and on the top as well. I'll weave my thread up to the top, and now in position to start adding beads. Now on one side you're going to add the crystal beads, on the other side you're going to add the seed beads, and then we're going to come back down to make it even. So at this point I'm going to pick up a crystal bead, and I'm going to pick up a Ginko bead, but I'm going to pick it up from the outer edge to the pointy end and go through this Cabochon, but on the other hole which I haven't used yet, and just pull it tight. Just like that. Now I'm going to pick up another Cabochon, another Ginko bead from the pointy end to the thicker end, the curvy end, and pull it down. Now I'm going to pick up 3 seed beads, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to straight come back on this Ginko bead through the other hole, just like that. Keep a nice and tight tension so your beadwork is nice and even. Now I'm in the position to pick up my next Cabochon. Again, I'm going to have the holes from bottom to top, top to bottom, and I'm going to go through the left one, but if you went to the right one, then go through the right one again, just as long as you keep picking them up the same way all the way along. And when I pull that up, that's gonna sit into place, and this is where it's important, so both of the domed side of the cabochons are on the same side of the bracelet. Now you're going to repeat this all the way along. So I'm going to pick up another crystal bead and another Ginko bead from the curvier end to the pointy end, go through this cabochon and pull it up tight. And now I'm adding the Ginko leaf at the bottom. I'm going from the pointy end to the curvier end and pick up 3 seed beads. Pull this right down and then go back through the other hole on the Ginko bead. Just like that. And now again, I'm in position, make sure this is nice and tight. I'm picking up my next cabochon and going through the Ginko bead right at the top. So I'll show you one more time. So you're going to pick up a crystal bead, you're going to pick up a Ginko bead from the curvier end to the pointy end and come back down onto the cabochon and pull this tight. Just like that. I like to hold on to my beads when I'm pulling it tight. So I'm holding on to my cabochon so the thread doesn't travel back up. Then I'm picking up a Ginko bead again from the pointier end to the curvier end and 3 seed beads. And letting them go all the way down. Just like that. And I'm going to come back through the Ginko bead to other hole and pull it tight. And again, I'm in a position to add my next cabochon, line the holes up. Again, I'm going to the left one and pull it up, just like that. So you're going to repeat this pattern all the way along until you get down to the bottom. I got quite a large wrist, and I needed 22 sets of Ginko beads to fit my wrist. So I'm going to speed this up for you. And I'll see you when I'm at the other end. So I'm just adding the last Ginko bead here on this side. I'll add this and I check the length again. As I said, I got quite a large wrist, so I always have to make my bracelets quite long. So let's just put this against what I did earlier. That's perfect. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna fold our bracelet in half and sew the other side of the clasp to this end. So the loops are on here already on your clasp. Now I don't like to generally undo my clasp and then sew it onto this end, because what can happen that it can twist and then you end up with the wrong end. So what I like to do is just to hold my work, get the clasp sort of wrap it around my fingers. Then I'm in the position here to go through this loop. So I finished with adding the last Ginko with the 3 seed beads, and I'm not going to add this cabochon here because my clasp is going right in there. I'm going to go through this right hand side loop from bottom to top and pull it up, pull it right to my last Ginko bead. Then I'm going to pick up 4 seed beads, and I'm virtually doing the same thing what I did on the other side. I'm going to down, so I came from bottom to up on this loop, so I'm going to go from top to bottom to add these 4 seed beads, pulled up nice and tight, and I'm going to go back through the top Ginko bead. So I'm sewing both of the loops to my Ginko bead. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side what I did on the other side. I'm going to weave my thread back around to the top, but before I do that, I'm going to add my 3 seed beads on the top of this Ginko here, because I don't want the thread path showing between the 2 holes. So I came to my Ginko bead, I picked up 3 seed beads, and I'm going back up the Ginko bead. Make sure I pull this tight. I'm going to go through the cabochon and the Ginko bead at the top, then come around the 3 seed beads. As you can see, I'm sort of turning my work backwards and forwards, so what I need to sew is always right in front of me. And then through the Ginko bead. Now because I went from bottom to up, I'm going to go from top to bottom through the hole the second time around. So I'm adding those 4 seed beads to the bottom of my bracelet as well. So I'm just picking up these 4 seed beads, and I'm going to come through the second hole from bottom to go up. That's it, pull it tight, then through the Ginko bead and through those 3 seed beads. So now we are in a position that our bracelet is sort of half done here. So what we need to do, you can undo the clasp at this stage because you sewed it there, so it's not going to move. So as you can see, on one side we got the crystals, and the other side we got the seed beads on top of the Ginkos. So what we need to do, we need to zigzag our way all the way back up to the other end. On this side adding the crystals, and on this side adding the seed beads. So weave your thread around. So I just gone through those 3 seed beads. I'm going to go through the Ginko bead, the cabochon, and the first Ginko bead on the other side. I'm going to pick up a crystal bead and come back to the Ginko bead on the second Ginko bead. So what I'm doing right here is just adding that crystal to this side as well. So completing my pattern. Then I'm going to go back through the cabochon, back through the bottom, the second Ginko bead. And because I'm missing the 3 seed beads here, let me turn it around again. I'm going to pick up 3 seed beads and come back up through. So I'm just zigzagging all the way. So through the Ginko bead, the cabochon in the middle, and the next Ginko bead. Your bracelet is going to be quite nice and strong because you're going backwards and forwards with it. And now I'm in a position again to add crystal bead. If I show you one more time. So I'm adding the crystal bead between the 2 Ginko beads here. So I'm going back down on the 3rd Ginko bead. And the second cabochon, and coming back out the 3rd Ginko bead, and I'm going to add my 3 seed beads on the top here. And you're going to do this all the way until you get down to the bottom. So just add these 3, and I'm weaving my thread back to the other side. So I'm going to speed it up for you, and I see you when I get to the clasp. So keep adding your crystals and seed beads until you get all the way down so your bracelet is even. I have just added my last crystal here. So as you can see, your bracelet is more even. You got the beads on both sides now. What we're going to do, we're going to go and bead around the clasp. So we're going to join up this 4 seed bead with these 3 seed beads on the top of the Ginko bead to make it a nice and even bracelet. If I show you one which I finished, and then simply we're going to run all the way up one side and then all the way down on the other side to strengthen our bracelet. So as you gone through the Ginko bead, the last Ginko bead, adding the last crystal here in your pattern, I'm going to weave my thread around. So I'm going to go through the cabochon itself and the Ginko bead, up the 3 seed beads here, and then I'm going to pick up 4 seed beads, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to go through these 4 seed beads right on the top of my loops, just like that. Then I'm going to pick up another 4 seed beads and turning my bracelet, so I'm going to go through these other 3 seed beads on the top of the Ginko bead on the other side. So I just created like a little line around these Ginko beads. I'm gonna go and weave my thread back around because I would like to complete the same on the other side. So I'm gonna weave my thread through the Ginko bead, the cabochon, and the next Ginko bead. Sometimes you can take your needle through the Ginko and the cabochon at the same time, but sometimes you have to do it one by one. So the Ginko bead. Now this time because I want to pull this beading down as much as I can, I'm going to go through the 3 seed beads on the top of the Ginko leaf, and the first seed bead I just added in the round. But now I don't need to pick up 4 seed beads, I just need to pick up 3. 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to turn my bracelet around, and I'm going to go through these 4 seed beads on the top of the loops on the other side. Just like so, and pull it tight. I'm gonna pick up a further 3 seed beads, and I'm gonna go through the 3 on the top of the Ginko and the 4th one from the previous round. So I'm going through 4 seed beads just right in front of my crystal bead. That's it. I'm just gonna pull that tight. And I haven't got much thread here, so I'm going to work my thread off first and take more thread from my bobbin, and then I'm going to run up and down. So to work your thread off, I just like to take it through a few of the beads so they are nice, and I'm sort of away from my end, and I'm going to do a technique called a 1 thread knot, which I'll show you how to do. It's really easy, and it keeps your sort of ends quite secure. I usually do 1 or 2 of those, depending on or maybe 3, depending on how intricate the pattern is and how much thread I got left. So just weave it to the other side. So at the moment I'm just going to weave it following any thread path what you created previously. I'm just going to weave my thread further up. So I just go through this cabochon, and I think we can do our first knot here. So to do a 1 thread knot, there is a thread path between these 2 beads, and I don't want to go through any beads, I just want to catch that thread path. So I'm sort of sewing underneath that thread path and pulling my thread through. Now you can see there's a little loop forming here, but because before this disappears, I'm going to go through this loop. You can go through once or you can go to twice to form a large knot. And as I'm pulling that closer and closer, as you can see, there's a little knot forms there. Then simply just take it through the Ginko bead, and the knot sort of slides into the Ginko bead, but we don't need to go through that bead again really, so you're quite safe in there. And I'm just going to go through a few more beads. Just go around the Ginko bead again and just do another 1 thread knot underneath here. So I'm pulling my loop tight, but before it disappears, I'm going to go through it and pull it tight. So that will create a secure knot there. I mean, you can weave your thread backwards, going down and not do any knot, but you're going to have to go back down quite a lot to have like a secure end. And just do 1 more time. So I'm catching the threads underneath, pulling it through before that loop disappears. I'm going to go through the loop and then go through the cabochon and this Ginko, and I'm going to trim my end here. So when you trim your end, the best thing I find, just sort of put it down on your table and get your pair of scissors. Now I'm pulling my thread up with one hand, and with my scissors I'm pushing the bracelet down and then cut it, so you get like a bit of tension to it, and you can cut as close as you can for your end to disappear. And I'm going to take more thread from my bobbin and thread my needle on there. Now this thread will be right at the top, which is really great at the moment, because what we want to do is run up and down. When we get to the other side, we will complete the same beading by the clasp, so you have a nice and a neat finish on both sides. I think that's what makes a bracelet sort of looking more professional, is how the finish of it. So locate where you're coming out. I'm coming out of this Ginko bead, so I'm gonna go through the loop on the clasp, pull it tight, and then through the seed beads, just like so. And all we're doing is running up the length of the bracelet, sewing together those seed beads and crystals we have put on there, just to make it like a little bit more extra secure. And it's the easiest way to get to the other side to finish your beading there. So I'm just coming around. So as you can see, I'm just going to go through these seed beads, and then as I'm coming out through the last seed bead, just got one more to go through, I'm gonna go straight into the crystal and pull my thread path, then straight into the seed beads, and then straight into the next crystal, and so on until I get down to the other end, just like so. I'm going to speed this bit up for you until I get to the other end, and I'll show you again how to do the clasp bit at the top. So I just got to the other end here, and I went through the last three seed beads on the last Ginko bead. Now what you need to do before you go any further and you tidy up this end is put your bracelet out and slightly sort of pull it out a little bit, because what can happen if you kept a really tight tension here going all the way up, so if I pull this up, you can see your bracelet is going to curve up, and you don't want a wonky bracelet sort of going to one side or the other. So we just sort of put it down at this stage and just pull it back out again, so you got a nice and straight bracelet. Now we're going to repeat what we did on the other side to tidy up this end on the clasp. So I'm going to pick up 4 seed beads as I'm coming out of the last 3 seed beads of the Ginko bead, and then I'm going to go through these 4 seed beads on the top of the loop to hide my loops completely, just like that. Then I'm going to pick up another 4 seed beads, and then I'm gonna go back through these 3 seed beads on the other side, on the top of the Ginko bead, and weave my thread back around so I can complete this thread path on the bottom or top of my bracelet, depending on which way you went first. Just straighten these beads out and pull it tight. Then I'm going straight across and through the cabochon and the the Ginko bead, sorry, and you're going to go through 4 seed beads here, and then pick up 3 seed beads, so we pull our beadwork nice and tight. Turn your bracelet over and go through the 4 seed beads on the top of the loops on the other side. Then pick up another further 3 seed beads and go through 4 seed beads going towards your crystal. So the 3 on top of the Ginko and the 1 just added in the previous round, and pulled up nice and tight. So with this, our both ends are finished. Now all is left to do is to run down on this outer edge of our bracelet to make those beads straighter, But, well, they are quite straight, but just to sort of, I like to sew them together because I think it just looks nicer. And the more you go up and down your bracelet, the stronger it's going to be. So as you can see, it's a really easy pattern. And it's actually grows quite quickly, and you can make a bracelet up in no time. You can experiment with different colors of Ginko beads against different colors of cabochons, different seed beads, crystal beads. You could even replace the crystal for a pearl bead, any 4mm bead, I guess. I just like the crystals in there because it just gives you this tiny bit of sparkle to your bracelet. So I'm just going to go all the way up, and then I'm going to come back around and sew this thread off as well, the same way as did the other one with some 1-thread knots. And that's it, your bracelet is going to be ready. So you can just take this through, and I just pop these samples back here for you so you can see all the different colors. But as I said, you can experiment with anything you like. This is a really nice project because when I do a colorway, I did the silver and I said, oh, I really love the silver, and then I did the gold one and I really love the gold one, and I even like this very nice, it's like a bronzy color, but in the same time it's got like a hint of green in there, just a really lovely color, and the purple and this as well. So let me know which one is your favorite, and I hope you really enjoyed this as much as I did, and thank you very much for watching.